By the end of this video, you will double and even triple your chance of following through on your goals, and you will significantly reduce your procrastination. If you want to succeed in working toward your goals, you're gonna need to make sure that you do the things that I say inside this video. And of course, everything I'm sharing here is based on research. And by the way, the last piece in the video is the most important thing, so you're gonna wanna make sure that you watch all the way to the end of the video. I broke this down into 4 easy to use steps. The first step is making sure that you're actually clear about what you want to achieve. You need to do the work beforehand of understanding this. You can't really get to your destination if you don't know what you're working toward. In fact, I see many people kind of wandering around trying to attempt to do different goals, and it's always changing and the bar's always moving. You want to make sure that you're clear about where you're going. You definitely don't want to end up wasting a massive amount of your own time kind of waffling about. So the first thing I need you to do is answer these 4 questions. What truly matters to me? Why do I want to achieve this goal? What obstacles might I face? And how will I measure my progress? Again, this will make sure that you're not running in a bunch of different directions. Now, I want to say, if you're doing something as a hobby and you do it just because you enjoy it, then there's no need to put this added pressure toward it, right? However, if you're looking to achieve a specific goal, then it's really important that you get clear with this. And this is why a lot of people with incredibly vague goals will end up burning out because they're not actually being clear about what they want. Step 2 is so important, and 90% of people who utilize positive thinking don't utilize this skill. Positive thinking and a lot of pseudo forms of positive thinking tell you to visualize your goals or visualize your success. But did you know actually visualizing success and your goals in your mind can actually potentially be a bad thing? When you close your eyes and you visualize something in your brain doesn't necessarily know whether that thing is real or whether that thing is fake. Now, you can utilize this to your advantage, but you can also do some things that might seem productive, but aren't, and might send you in the opposite direction. Your brain doesn't know the difference between achieving a goal in your mind or in the real world. So I can visualize myself finishing a marathon, and my brain will take that information and be like, great, we ran a marathon. But interestingly enough, when we do that type of visualization, the brain says to itself, oh great, we did this. We don't need to produce more motivation to get it done. So if you utilize visualization and picture yourself succeeding and running that marathon, your brain thinks to itself, oh great, we've done it. So what it's not going to produce is motivation toward that goal. It's going to say to itself, great, we've done it, let's move on, we've got that covered. So when you're visualizing achieving your goal, what happens is the dopamine is going to release regardless of whether you've done it in your brain or in person. And that can feel great, and this is why daydreaming is so addicting in a way. But what often happens after a dopamine response is that when that dopamine goes away, there's a lack of motivation to move forward. So let's say you visualized running this marathon right before you're going for a run. You might actually see your motivation drop instead of rise. But don't worry, I'm going to tell you the right way to use visualization to your advantage. But actually what you should be doing is thinking about what are the obstacles that I'm going to see to this goal ahead of time. And just so you know, this can be a relatively uncomfortable process at first. No one likes to think of roadblocks or imagine roadblocks in their way. But doing all this preparation ahead of time is actually going to make it that much more likely for you to succeed. So think about your goal and then write down some obstacles that might get in your way to achieving that. Then what I want you to do is visualize yourself doing it anyway, despite the obstacle. So in your visualization, you need to visualize the obstacle itself. Believe it or not, this actually works. When we overcome obstacles like this in the real world, it actually builds a neural pathway that makes it easier and easier and easier each time. So doing the imaginal exposure of getting over that obstacle, your brain can't tell the difference that you've done it in your head or in the real world. So what you're really doing is you're building resilience to that obstacle. It's so awesome. I love it. Step 3 is an easy one, but of course it's important. Now we've talked about obstacles. Now I want you to think, what are my opportunities? And you might be asking yourself, Mike, what are you talking about? Opportunities? So maybe you have the most energy in the morning when you wake up. Or say your schedule has a gap in between 8 p.m. and 10 p.m. at night. Or maybe you typically have room in your routine right after lunch. Find the small spaces in your day that are up for grabs. Now for the final stage, and this is the important one. This will make it 2 or 3 times more likely that you'll achieve your goals. So make sure you're paying attention. It's time to create your if-then plan. And even if you've already heard of this, I'm going to tell you why this specifically works. Don't sleep on this technique. So an if-then plan is exactly what you think it might be. It is one sentence or 2 sentences with an if and then a then. The if in this sentence is a specific trigger or stimuli that's going to result in your action. It can be a time period, a specific behavior that you're doing, or even a specific situation that you find yourself in. Here are some really quick examples without the behavior that follows it. If I go downstairs, if it's a Saturday, if I'm brushing my teeth, or if I'm tired. In step 3, we examined opportunities in your day. This is when I want you to look back at those and determine what is my if going to be. So now we're done with the first part of the sentence. We need to move on to the then in this statement. This is going to be the specific behavior that brings you toward your goal. So make sure you are specific and know exactly what that behavior is going to be. Like for example, say your goal is to run a half marathon. Maybe your if-then plan would be, if I go downstairs in the morning, then I will put on my running shoes. At the end of this, I'm going to tell you why this works and why it's so helpful. And make sure to follow if you found this helpful, because I do share these kind of things often. Another example could be maybe you have social anxiety and you want to work toward talking to more people. You could create, if I start to feel nervous, then I'll take a deep breath and I'll walk in and say hi. There are 3 key reasons why if-then plans work. These are called implementation intentions, if-then. And they work for a lot of reasons, but I'm going to give you 3 main big ones. You're getting specific, you're building automatic cues, and you're preparing for obstacles. In my next video, I'm going to talk about habit formation and the little known things about it that can really increase your chances of cementing that habit into reality. And we're going to get rid of all the pseudoscience that many people talk about in specifics to habits. And I'll give you just a little tease to that video by saying habit streaks are not as important as you think they are. And of course, I'll help you increase your chance of cementing those habits. My name is Mike Berger of Berger Games, and I teach gamers to teach them about their psychology using gaming, and of course, most importantly, I play video games. You can find some of my gamified mental health and achievement courses at my website at www.bergergames.com.